How can hardworking entrepreneurs build profitable and scalable businesses whilst having the freedom and balance to do the other things that they love? For example, family, sports, fun, adventure, and charity, and anything else. And there's more to life than just a daily grind. And today, my special guest is Dr. Ivan Misner. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Ivan Misner before we begin. I have met him many years ago when I was a member of BNI, and we met in Dublin many, many years ago. You probably won't remember him, but I remember him very, very well.
It's good to see you again, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Ivan Misner is the founder and chief visionary officer of BNI, the world's largest business networking organization, founded in 1985. The organization now has over 10,000 chapters throughout every populated continent of the world. Now, last year alone, BNI generated over 11.5 million referrals, which resulted in $16.3 billion worth of business for its members. That is astounding. That's just amazing. Now, I will tell you, he's known as the father of modern networking, and we're going to learn more about that very, very shortly. He's been featured on CNN, various media outlets, including the LA Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNN, NBC, BBC, and many, many more. And he's also received the coveted title of Humanitarian of the Year by the Red Cross, and also the recipient of the John C. Maxwell Leadership Award. Now, he and his wife is proud, he and his wife, his late wife, Elizabeth, I would say, are the co-founders of the BNI Charitable Foundation. And in his spare time, he is an amateur magician and a man after my own heart. He is a martial artist, black belt in karate. I'm sure we'll learn more about that very shortly. Ivan, welcome to the Business Success Show. And let's begin.
Thanks,
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you. What I want to start with is you are very synonymous with BNI. Can you, before we go into that, can you tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial background? What were you doing before leading or setting up BNI, the world's largest business referral organization? And what led you to setting this organization up?
So I dabbled in a number of different companies. I worked actually for the government at first, the Department of Commerce. Then I worked for a transportation company that was funded by the government. Then I went into, I actually owned for several years a trucking company. Now, I barely know the front end of a truck from the back end of the truck, but I did the contracts and the financials. I sold that to my partner. And I worked for a short period of time as a general manager for a light manufacturing plant. So that's where I got my management chops. And I decided to go out on my own, and I became a management consultant. Right around the same time, I started investing in real estate. I actually have a business that is run longer than BNI. It's about 39 years old. And that's a property investment company, which I've been doing for a long time. I have about 12 commercial properties in Austin, Texas. And from my consulting business, I opened up BNI. And I did it because I went to a lot of groups that were mercenary, and everyone was trying to sell to me. And I went to other groups that were totally social. And I wanted something that was business and relational. And the glue that would hold it together is this philosophy that we have of giver's gain, this idea that if I help you, you'll help me, we all do better. And that's what led me into BNI. And after a few years, I actually sold my consulting practice. And as you mentioned, we now have 10,000 BNI chapters all around the world.
Wow, that's just simply amazing. And the history, as I remember it, is you were looking for more business, and you started, tell us a little bit about that, because this is a very clever way to find more business. And I love the philosophy of giver's gain. So how did that come about? Looking for more business, put some people together.
Well, yeah, I didn't like the mercenary groups. I didn't like the social groups. I put together one group. I mean, I'd like to say I had this vision of 10,000 at that time, but I didn't. One group, and they were friends of mine, and I wanted to help them, and I hoped that they would be willing to help me. And we take only one person per profession, as you know. And so we met for a couple of months, and someone came and said, "This is really fantastic. I could get a lot of business out of this. Would you help me open up my own group? And I told her, Mac, I told her no. I said, this
Oh,
isn't what I do. I'm a business consultant. She said, well, this is kind of consulting. You're helping me build my business. I'm like, yeah, that's a stretch, but okay, sure. So we opened a second chapter. At the very first meeting of the second chapter, we had two people come who couldn't join because their profession was represented. And they both said, would you help me open up? Would you help us open up
wow.
two different chapters? And I said, no, this isn't what I do. I'm a business consultant. They made the same argument. I said, okay. At the end of the year, Mac, we had 20 chapters
In
without
1
trying.
year.
1 year, 20.
Amazing.
And between Christmas and New Year's of every year, I take time to reflect. You know, where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years? How was last year according to my plan? And that particular year is like, what the heck just happened? Because I didn't plan on this. And I understood the concept of push marketing and pull marketing. Push marketing is, you know, you got to push to get business. And as a business consultant, it was total push marketing. And it hit me. Two things hit me. One, this was pull marketing. I was being pulled through the marketplace. And two, we don't teach this in colleges and universities anywhere in the world.
No.
It's just not being taught.
Sure.
I am talking to, no deal has been done, but I am talking to Harvard about doing a course at Harvard on business networking and social capital. So
Fantastic.
maybe we will finally get this in a university. So when I realized that we don't teach this in school, I realized then that we needed something that could teach people how to do it and provide the mechanism to do it. And that's when I created my plan to scale BNI.
Wow. So I think you stood, thank you for that. I think you stood in a very envious position that you were already a business owner. You had a property investment business. Also, you're a management consultant. So I suppose you'd have seen in organizations what worked, what doesn't work, and what causes problems. And, you know, as a business consultant myself, whenever I'm working with teams, whenever lots of human beings are involved per se, certain behaviors or the wrong behaviors or the negative behaviors certainly surface. And what I loved about BNI was the whole philosophy of this giver's gain. What did your management consultancy background lead you to set up the organization in a particular way, in a certain way?
Definitely. And of course, my doctoral work was in organizational behavior and in leadership. And so all of that, you know, helped me to create a business that had systems and structure and processes, accountability. You know, one of the things I saw in some networks was there was no accountability.
Right.
And, you know, hockey without rules would be boxing on ice.
True.
You know,
True.
you just have to have rules. And so some people don't like that with BNI, you know, they just want to go and it's very social. But in BNI, I didn't, you know, look, I have a friend who says, if I need another friend, I would buy a dog. You know, I don't need more friends. I need business in a friendship-based organization. So you create friends, but it's about business. And so accountability was a key aspect. And that's why there's processes and policies that we have, like attendance. You got to come there. You know, you can't get a haircut over the phone. You gotta be present, even if it's online presence, which, by the way, all 10,000 of our chapters have pivoted to online during COVID. And we plan on going back to in-person meetings when it's safe. But all of our 10,000 groups are presently meeting online. So yeah, systems and process is very important if you want to be successful. If you want to scale, you got to get replicable.
Okay, on that note, let me, I'm going to come off BNI in a minute. I'll come back to it. One thing, as I said earlier on, we like to discuss here is how can hardworking entrepreneurs build profitable and scalable businesses whilst having the freedom and the balance. So, and you've managed to create great businesses, other institutions that I'm aware of, and still have a great lifestyle. And so, how, you know, for the small business owner, for the up and coming business owner, for the entrepreneur, what would you advise?
Right. So, would you like to know, Mac, the secret to balance?
I would love to know. Yes, I would love to.
And I think some of your listeners your viewers might like to know.
We would all love to.
Here it is. Here's the secret to balance. Forget about it. You'll never have it. Now, when I say that to a large audience, somebody up front almost always goes, oh,
yeah.
I thought I was going to get something good. All right, you're going to get something good. Here's my philosophy on balance. To me, balance is it's like scales. My business life has to be in balance with my personal life, which has to be in balance with my spiritual life, which has to be in balance with my health. And the truth is, the world, particularly entrepreneurs and salespeople, they do not live a life where you can have balance. It's more of like a juggling act than a balancing act. Now, having said that, here's the good stuff. While I don't think you can lead a life of balance, I do believe you could lead a life of harmony. And this is more than semantics. Okay. Even the graphic for harmony, the yin and the yang, are out of balance when you separate them.
Yeah, yeah.
If you separated the yin and the yang, they're out of balance. But you can create a life of harmony. And here's the difference, because my life has been, it's not quite so out of balance as it was in the past, because I don't run the day-to-day operations anymore. But I have 2.3 million miles on one airline alone. So I traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And, when I had young kids, that was obviously a challenge. But here's 2 or 3 things you can do to lead a life of harmony. The first sounds simple, but it's not. It's 3 words. Be here now. Be here now. Wherever you are, be fully present to that. So don't be at home thinking about the work that's got to be done at the office. Even if the office is in your house, don't be thinking about the project that has to be done. Don't be at work thinking about the fact that you didn't spend time with the family last night.
Good point.
It's counterproductive.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, be fully and completely present. I remember my son's 27. I remember when he was 17 and we were sitting down in front of a big screen TV and we were playing a computer game. I think we were playing Halo and it was buffering up and he was kicking my butt, by the way. And so we're buffering up to the next level. And I said to him, I said, buddy, was I around enough for you as you grew up? And he looked at me and he said, what? I said, was I around enough as you were growing up? He said, man, you're around all the time. I'm like, I don't know if you noticed, but like every other week I'm gone for several days.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, of course I noticed. But he said, I don't know. It's like, when you're here, you're here. Can we get back to the game now? And I'm like, yes, we can.
You got your answer there.
Yeah. And so that was it. Be here now, wherever you are, be fully present to the people that you're with. That's the first part of harmony. Here's another part. You have to learn what to hold on to and what to let go of.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, I do not believe you can have it all. You can't. People who tell you you can have it all are lying to you. Mm-hmm. You must have discernment. You must decide in your life what's important to you and what's less important to you. And so you got to get good with your values. I've written a book on this, by the way. It's called Who's in Your Room?
Who's in Your Room?
And it's about the secret to creating your best life. And it's about the people you surround yourself with and the things you surround yourself with. We say yes to stuff that we don't really want to do. And you got to learn to say, and I have a whole section in the book on learning how to say no without sounding like a jerk. Right. Or worse, because you have to have discernment if you want to lead a life of harmony. Here's one more. I'll give you the third one. You have to have margins in life, like the margins on a page in a book. You have to have margins. Time for yourself, time for your family, time to recharge. Ever since I've been an adult, I have what I call one day a week is my mental health day. I don't work. I don't go out. I stay at home. I maybe watch movies. When my kids were young, we would hang out together and watch movies. I would barbecue. We'd hang in the pool. Right. That was my mental health day. That was a margin in my life. And we talk about other things as well. But those are three things out of the book, Who's in Your Room, it's available on Amazon. You can get it there. And I think that you may not have a life of balance, but you can create a life of harmony. And I have lived a life of harmony.
You certainly have. I love that. I mean, there's lots of different debates on that notion of entrepreneur and balance, but the way you described it, it's absolutely beautiful. And thank you for sharing that information. Just thank you so much. And I'll say this, let's go back to BNI then, because you've given our listeners some great information about balance and harmony. So what makes BNI so unique? Before I joined BNI, I think it's 20 years ago, before that, I'd been to other networking organizations, and I did see the chaos. I did see the not many rules, not much procedure. But what makes it so unique or different to other business networking organizations?
Well, first and foremost, our principal core value of giver's gain is, I think, something that makes it very unique. The idea that we're there to help one another succeed. And to me, giver's gain is more than a phrase. It's a way of living one's life. It's a perspective to view and interact with the world. It's an attitude, not an expectation. And when it's applied properly, it will change your life. And when it changes enough lives, it will change the world. And I think that is one of the things that has set BNI aside from other organizations. As a matter of fact, you're in the UK.
Yeah.
I just did a book with two co-authors from the UK.
All right.
Called Infinite Giving, the 7 Principles of Giver's Gain. And you can get that on Amazon in the UK as well. Infinite Giving, the 7 Principles of Giver's Gain. And what I just spoke to you is out of the book. It's really about learning how to give and give in an appropriate way, starting with having discernment about the people that you build relationships with, but also understanding that you give from your saucer, not your cup. Meaning that as you become more successful and your world overflows, your cup overflows, you give freely from that saucer. So when I was young and I had no money, I couldn't give money to charity, but I could give my time. And so I was a big brother. I gave my time. As I became more successful, I was able to give a little more money and still give time. And as I became very successful, I sat on boards. I'm on, a couple of nonprofit boards now, and I give more money because my cup has overflowed. And so I give freely from that saucer. So those are a couple of things that are right out of the book. And another one out of that book is gratitude. You got to show gratitude. And showing gratitude is not new age psychobabble.
No, I agree.
It is science. There have been studies by Harvard, by Yale, by the Claremont universities that show that people who show gratitude, the people they show gratitude to are more productive than those people who aren't. And people who show gratitude have better positive attitudes about life than those who don't. And it's science, not new age psychobabble.
And I totally agree with that. And on that note, let me ask you this. It's great stuff here. Great interview, great answers. I love it. I mean, very good. Hey, by the way, before I go to my next question, do you remember this book?
I do. World's Best No Marketing Secret. I see it's an autographed copy.
It's an autographed copy, and I've got it. I mean, when I first got this book years ago, it is an autographed copy actually, and I devoured it because it was just amazing. It was when I joined BNI, the feeling I got was I'm home, because it was welcoming. I was in the same area as Martin and Gillian Lawson. I know you know.
Yeah.
Martin's no longer with us, obviously. And they took me under their wings And so I became a chapter director, then I became what's called a regional director, setting up chapters and everything else.
Right.
For me, BNI was so, so fantastic for my business.
Thank you.
And so I owe you, and it was my first business. And when I learned about networking and how to do it properly, when I learned about Givers Gain, you're absolutely right. Even today, people still find me and still connect with me because they remember back in the day. So the question I have is this: how does one become a better networker? I know you talked about Givers Gain, but how can someone really become a better networker, especially as we are living more and more we've been forced to live in a virtual world for the last year or so. But how can someone still network, knowing that the phrase is, it's not what you know, but it's who you know?
So I have a different spin on that.
Okay.
I believe that it is not what you know or who you know. It's how well you know each other that really counts. You see, networking is more about farming than it is about hunting. It's about cultivating relationships with other business professionals. And so I think that it really is about how well you know each other. It's not just who you know. I mean, the question is, can you pick up the phone, call somebody? You know, I've got amazing contacts in my phone, but the real question is, can I call them? And if I ask, well, first of all, would they answer my phone call?
Right.
And if I ask them for a favor, would they be willing to do the favor? That's what makes a powerful personal network. So it's not just who you know, it's how well you know each other. And so one of the things that I teach, and I think it's the foundation of everything I teach in networking, and I wrote about it after the book that you've got there. I first wrote about it in a book called Business by Referral. And it's called the VCP process: visibility, credibility, profitability. You have to be visible. People have to know who you are and what you do. Then you have to move to credibility, where they know who you are, they know what you do, they know you're good at it. And then and only then can you get to profitability, where people know who you are, they know what you do, they know you're good at it, and they're willing to refer you because they trust you so much. What happens is the people meet one another. They're not even at visibility. And they try to jump over visibility, jump over credibility, get right to profitability. They meet you and they say, "Hi, Matt, my name's Ivan. Here's 3 copies of my business card. Maybe you can refer me to other people." And I'm like, when that happens to me, like, I'm sorry, what was your name again? I don't even know your name. By the way, in one of my books, we call that premature solicitation, which you don't want to say fast 3 times, it'll get you in trouble. So,
I'm with you.
It's about working through the VCP process. So if you don't know that person, you got to get to visibility. If you know that person, you need to move to credibility. And when you have credibility both ways, then is the opportunity to ask for referrals and to give referrals.
Wow. That is, I have got that book as well, because I remember reading that.
It's in there. Yeah. Business by Referral. That was the first book, and it's been in many since then.
Wow. That's simply awesome. Now, just a little detour and then we'll come back. You're a magician in your spare time.
Amateur.
Amateur. How long have you been practicing?
Well, I haven't done it. I did it mostly when my kids were young, but I was a full-fledged member of the Magic Castle, the Academy of Magical Arts in Los Angeles. And I was a member there for almost 20 years. And I was a magician member, which you have to go audition for. So I wanted to be a magician member, not an associate member. So, I did it mostly for my kids. My kids are grown up now, so I don't do it. I'm waiting for grandkids. When the grandkids come, I'll start. All I have are grand dogs. So, I'm waiting for some grandkids.
And
I'll do it again.
You do it again, waiting for those grandkids. And tell us a little bit about your martial arts practice. What style? I know it's karate. And
Shotokan was the base. So, I did judo when I was a boy. I did kung fu when I was in college. And I actually, when I was in my early 30s, I broke my leg skiing. It was a real bad skiing accident. And I needed, when it had healed, I needed to build up my muscles and I hate going to the gym. And I thought, you know what, I'll go back into martial arts because it's physical, that'll build my leg back up. And I enjoyed it so much. I did it for quite a few years and became a first degree black belt. If you know martial arts, people used to say to me, a first degree black belt is a beginner. And I didn't believe that, but that's true.
It is.
The more I did it, the more I realized how little I knew. Even when I was became a first degree black belt, my Shihan, who was a 7th degree black belt, and again, you probably already know this, but to go from white belt to first degree black belt, it takes roughly as much time to go to first degree black belt as it does to go to 2nd degree black belt.
Very
he was a 7th degree
true.
black belt, and so it's fun, but I haven't done it for a while. I'm thinking about picking up Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
And doing some Tai Chi.
Because of the age and the bones and everything else.
Yeah. I'm getting up there. The Shotokan is hard. Shotokan's rough on your body.
Yeah, it's hard hitting Shotokan. Yeah. I mean, we have similar backgrounds. I started in judo as well, age of 13. I've been practicing various styles, kung fu, and I did some karate as well, Shotokan. But last 21 years has been Taekwondo. So
Taekwondo's, that's not easy either.
That's not easy either.
That's a strong kicking style.
It is very strong kicking style. And my instructor, the 9th Dan, I'm a 5th Dan in Taekwondo and former UK champion in that style as well. So
listen, for the people watching this, Mac could kick your butt and you wouldn't know what happened.
No.
A 5th Dan is, I mean, it good for you. That's
many years of practice.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that, Ivan, is this: what did you learn from the martial arts practice that you've taken into maybe your life or into your business? Is there any elements?
Well, certainly the concept of harmony is very martial arts related if you're in the right studio, because they do talk about having a balance in life, or they don't use the term harmony usually, but that martial arts is part of a bigger life. And so certainly that, but there's something very specific that I learned in the martial arts. And one day my Shihan said to me, today we're going to Bunkaya Kata. And I'm like, bless you, Shihan, what is that? He said, I want you to walk through the kata. And at this point I was a brown belt. And brown belts are dangerous because they think they know a lot. They don't know how much they don't know. And he said, we're going to Bunkaya Kata, and I want you to break it down into its smallest pieces, and I want you to describe what you're doing. So I said, Wansu, I know Wansu really, really well. And in Wansu, there's some opening moves, and there's a down block, and then you step forward with a half punch, and I'm describing each and every move. And then there was this one move, and I don't know if a camera will get it, but there's this one move where you do this.
Yeah.
And he said to me, so what are you doing? And I said, well, Shihan, it's that. And he goes, well, what is that? And I said, he said, why do you do that move? And this is where I made the mistake. I said to him, because it looks really bitchin'. That's when I found out that 7th degree black belts have no sense of humor. He just read me the riot act. He barked at me and he said, no, you don't do moves like that because they look cool. That's not why you do the moves. He said, let me show you what that move is. And you probably already know, but it's if somebody grabs you, you are going under their arm, over their arm, and it's basically an arm break.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 3 years. I had no idea it was an arm break. And then he walked me through, Mac, the rest of the kata. Now, this was a kata I told him I knew frontwards and backwards. And the truth is, I learned it for the first time that day.
It's amazing.
Because he showed me what every move meant. I took that and applied that concept to business, because in BNI, people sometimes are going through the motions
Right.
and they don't know what is behind that. Why do you do that? And so I then started teaching in BNI the hidden elements of a great BNI meeting. What are the things that you're just doing because it's a root exercise, you're just constantly doing it, but you really don't know what's behind it. And so I started teaching the hidden elements. And that came, and by the way, everything has hidden elements. Every sport, golf, tennis, baseball, even hobbies, cooking, sewing, they all have hidden elements. And when you teach people the hidden elements, you can become a master. And that was a concept I got out of martial arts that I have fully integrated into my business.
That's just amazing. That's just amazing. That's fantastic. So on that note, and thanks for sharing that. Really,
Yeah.
we're having a conversation here. I'm loving it where it's going. On that note, every successful entrepreneur, business owner, has certain routines that they follow or do. Maybe it's a morning routine. Maybe it's a evening routine. But what are some of the routines that you follow that has helped you to create more success in your life?
Yeah, so I have learned over the years. I wouldn't say I've always been good at this, but I learned, the Hippocratic Oath for doctors.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people forget or they don't know that Hippocrates also said, "Let food be your medicine and medicine your food."
Right.
And I think many people, including doctors,
Mm-hmm.
don't recognize that importance. And so food to me is medicine. And I wrote a book called Healing Begins in the Kitchen because I had been diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
And rather than go in, and I was told I had 6 months to get surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. And I went a full holistic route. And it's been 9 years and I have never had to do surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy.
It's just amazing. That's
because I changed my diet completely. And so, what I eat is very, very important. I exercise now every day in the morning. I get up at least 5 days a week. I take off the weekends, but 5 days a week, I get up. Nothing crazy, although I do want to start adding Tai Chi in. I'm going to, learn a little bit of Tai Chi. But I walk and crunches, push-ups, lift some weights every day. And so those are things that are important to me. Here's something that I think, though, is important for everybody in terms of a routine that you want to do. I think most businesses do 1,000 things 6 times, when in fact, what you have to do if you want to be successful is you got to do 6 things 1,000 times.
Wow.
Not 1,000 things 6 times.
Yeah.
And so, I consider it a routine in the sense that I focus on doing 6 things 1,000 times. And by the way, it doesn't have to be 6. It could be 5. It could be 7.
Right.
It's a handful of things, and you do it over and over and over again. I believe that most business people are constantly chasing bright, shiny objects.
Yeah, true.
Find the easy answer. And there is no easy answer that I've found. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
It's about consistency. And you may ask, well, what 6 things? I can't tell you what 6 things. Every business is a little different. So it's shows like this, where you learn what those are. Things resonate with you. You hear something that someone says. Maybe somebody will heard me talk about balance, right? Harmony versus balance. Now, that's one of the things that you then work on personally. And you do it over and over and over. And it's that consistency that over time makes a big difference. And so you might have 6 things in business or a handful of things in business that you do 1,000 times. You may have a handful of things in your personal life that you do 1,000 times. And it's that routine that creates your life of harmony.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that is great. Just out of interest, what is your eating regime now? What is the food you eat now? This food is medicine. And I agree with you, by the way, and I'm exactly the same. what do you eat mostly now compared to?
Yeah, so I used to eat, I didn't eat a lot of junk food, although I loved ice cream. Yeah, that was my kryptonite,
What's
you
your
know.
thing?
And so I don't eat ice cream anymore. I eat no sugar, no processed sugar.
Okay.
You know, sweeteners like honey or agave, coconut sugar, but no processed cane sugar.
Right.
And so no sugar, organic. I ate a lot of processed foods, you know, lean cuisine, you know, pop them in the
Okay.
microwave. No processed foods. Almost all organic
Right.
foods, and foods that you would find like in the Mediterranean diet or the China diet that are, you know, grains, no wheat, no dairy. I'll have goat cheese, which is different than cow cheese, substantially different. So organic, non-processed. A good friend of mine, Dr. Mark Hyman, who's written many books on health and nutrition, says eat food that comes off of a plant,
Right.
not food that is made in a plant.
Perfect. Love that.
Yeah. So I try to eat food that comes off of a plant.
Yeah.
It's largely vegetarian. I'll eat fish. I'll eat some lamb, and rarely, like once a year, just because nothing beats a filet mignon and a
Okay.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
With a Cabernet Sauvignon, I'm with
Those
you.
two. So once a year, maybe
as
I'll
a
have
treat to treat
a
yourself.
filet. But then it's grass-fed, grass-finished.
Right. Right.
Because they pump cattle with hormones.
Oh,
And you know, what's really interesting, or they feed them corn, and corn is genetically modified.
yeah.
And so you got to ask, if you're at a restaurant, you got to ask, because they'll say, oh no, our beef is grass-fed. You got to ask, is it grass-finished? Because what they do is they grass feed it until the last 60 days. And then all they do is feed it tons of corn.
Okay.
So it fattens up on corn. And so you got to ask, is it grass-fed, grass-finished?
Grass-finished.
And so I will occasionally have a grass-fed, grass-finished steak.
Okay.
Once a year.
Once a year. Well, it's great. It's great to know that. I want to. We're going to finish off in a little while, but I want to take it another level, which is.
Can I add just one thing before you take another one? I eat well. I eat well. Yeah. I lost 45 pounds going on that diet.
Yeah.
And doing nothing else, because I had no surgery. I didn't have chemotherapy. I lost 45 pounds, and it's been off for 8 years. It was 9 years ago. It took me 3 or 4 months to lose it. So almost 9 years. I've been at the same weight, and I eat very well, but I just eat differently.
You eat differently, more healthy. And certainly, you know, you're leaner in your face than when I first met you many years ago.
Yeah. I was in my fat suit back then.
You don't have those suits anymore, I presume, because if
no, but I mean my fat suit, my face. If you go to YouTube and go back and look, I'm embarrassed. I'm thinking about redoing some of those old videos because it's like,
no, leave it where it is, so people can see. Actually, look, it's the truth. This is me then. This is me now.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, it's an inspiration for some people. It's great. I mean, like yourself, I haven't eaten beef or red meat for more than 15 years. I mean, today I'm a total plant-based eater, like you said. You know, that's what I eat, and I don't miss chicken or fish or anything like that. But everyone has a choice. But I agree with you about food is medicine. Now, question I have is this, and congratulations, by the way, on your health and really changing those things around. You know, having the level of success you have now in life and in business, what would you tell your younger self, you know, the younger self in your late teens or early 20s about life and business and what to do? What would you tell your younger self?
2 things. I would first say, don't worry so much. Things will work out. Always live your values. This is still part of number 1. Stay true to your values. stay the course on your values, and don't worry so much. Worry enough to get a solution, and then you got to let it go and move on. That would be one thing, because I did have a tendency to, my superpower, if I have one, is that I'm a dog with a bone. I'll work something and work something and work something.
Okay.
And then I worry about it. So it took me many years to learn to let it go. And the second one is, don't worry about girls. You'll find the girl of your dreams.
And you did in Beth, right?
I did indeed. We're 31 years.
And she's no longer with us, so rest of us. I actually joined in the service. It was a beautiful service. I did it, I was watching it online.
Yeah, we had to do it online.
Yeah.
But look at all the people that came out for her.
Absolutely.
I mean, Richard Branson sent a text that we showed. John Gray, Men Are From Mars. Yakov Smirnoff is an American comedian and been in movies. Jack Canfield. I mean, so many people. I married up. Man.
You did very well. You did very well. And when I was listening to the shares and people talking about her, and I was reading some of the tributes, and Beth, although I never met her, was a very for me, from what I could see, she was a heartfelt person, heart-driven, caring individual. And that's a rare thing to, like you said, marry up, and to marry a beautiful soul like Beth as well.
Yeah.
So
she was smart, and I think sometimes she felt like she was living in my shadow.
Okay.
But the truth is, she was my light.
Beautiful light, beautiful light, beautiful light, beautiful light. So on that note,
and I did a blog. You can find. I have a blog, ivanmisner.com. Tons of free content up there. You can find a blog. I forget the exact title, but it was something like people say it's the woman behind the man. It was something like that.
Yeah.
And I said in this blog, it's never been the woman behind the man. For me, it's been the woman beside the man, because she was always my trusted confidant. She gave me more great advice than anyone I have ever known. And the truth is, our marriage was a partnership. And although I was the reason we got invited to most places, she was the reason we got invited back. Because she was that, heartfelt person, and people just absolutely adored her. Anyway, enough talking about
That's
beautiful
amazing. On that, thanks for that, for doing this interview. I want to say, how can people reach out to you? Where would you like people to, connect with you or connect with BNI? What's important? You shared some great things today, and go ahead.
Yeah, so BNI.com. Go to BNI.com. We have over 10,000 chapters all around the world. Right now, almost all of them are meeting online. But when this COVID craziness is over, we will go back to meeting in person, maybe some kind of hybrid. But I think in the introduction, you mentioned we did $16 billion in business.
That's right.
During COVID.
That's amazing.
The worst year I have ever seen. And our members passed to one another $16 billion worth of business. And that to me is just amazing. So BNI.com and my blog's ivanmisner.com. I'm on all the social media. You can see me on any of the social media. I'm probably most active on Facebook. So you can find my public page on Facebook, which is Facebook/IvanMisner.BNIFounder, my public page.
That's amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the man himself, Dr. Ivan Misner, the father of modern networking, as they say. And remember, check him out, Facebook. I follow him on LinkedIn, but choose your favorite social media outlet. That is fine. And remember also to tag your friends on this, tell your friends about this video, to check out Dr. Ivan's video. We talked about different subjects here. Great content. And also follow us on our Facebook group, the Business Success Club. The Business Success Club, remember to follow us for more great interviews like this. So on that note, I want to say, Dr. Ivan Misner, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us and give us all these golden nuggets. May God bless you.
Mac.
You're most welcome. And continue doing what you're doing in terms of changing the planet on every single note of givers gain. Have a great day until we meet again. Bye for now.
Bye.